Hey guys, I hope you all are doing well. I'm going to discuss the allocation of resources and propose the next topic of discussion. So I'm just going to say, in answering your question, Robert, my approach comes less from the specifically monetary aspect and more on the general resources end of things. I will admit, one of the aspects in my faith where I could do a better job is in my tithing. I'll admit that I have not been very consistent in my tithing, and that is something that is very important, I think, for Christians. However, I wouldn't say that it is the be-all, end-all. 2 Corinthians 9:7-8 says, "You should each give as you have decided in your heart to give, not grudgingly or out of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver." Now, that being said, I think the most important resource that someone can give in their walk with Christ and their faith is their action, their time. Service as action, rather than primarily as financial contribution. And I would say I try to do that with most of my life. My passion for being a teacher, a huge part of that is the service aspect. Trying to help students and children better their lives. Now, in terms of faith conversations, it's a little bit tricky, especially when I'm teaching in a public school. But you could still have the service and still be a good example of Christ to those students. And that's one of the huge ways I exhibit my faith. Another time resource I allocate is in my service with Children's Church at the church I attend. I am one of the main leaders of Children's Church for a couple services every so often. Not every week, but a number of weeks during the month. So that's another way I provide service. But enough of my own accolades. I want to go focus on the importance of why I'm saying service is an essential component in terms of allocating resources. Giving your time is more impactful to the people you interact with than giving your money. Also, acts of service are fruits of your faith. In your faith that you hold when you commit acts of service, it's evidence of your faith in God. Tithing is one of those fruits as well. But service is one of those more impactful ones because you are there face to face with people and they can see it. It's tangible. It's more concrete in a sense. Well, money is more concrete because it's like actual money. But the service itself, the people who experience it, are more greatly impacted than if they just got a check from a charity or something like that. Now, in all of this, I'm not trying to say anything along the lines of like salvation by works, but rather I'm in line with the view of Martin Luther that your faith manifests in works. Your faith manifests in actions that are fruit of the Spirit. And I think anything you do that exhibits that fruit is an allocation of a resource. Now, there's this old saying that time is money. I would make the argument that time is more important than money, because money just gives you a resource that you can do stuff. Time is more directly tethered with who you are as a person. It's what you prioritize. You can, in the back of your mind, especially in the technological age with computers and internet, you can allocate parts of your budget to charity and service and not even think about it. But if you're investing your time, your heart is in it. You are focused on it. It is what you are doing. And that is why I think time is more important than money. Now, that being said, the best uses of our time and money is action that glorifies God and making purchases and investments that glorify God. We are to be imitators of Christ, and anything we do that furthers the mission of Christ, furthers Christianity, is an act of service. It's an allocation of resource that is good. So in terms of whether it is ethical to buy something or to do something, I would say the central question just rests in, does it glorify God? Or at the very least, does it dishonor God? If it doesn't dishonor God, or if through whatever you're getting or whatever you're doing you're glorifying God, then I don't see an issue, as long as your priorities are in the right order and your priorities are like perpetuating the gospel and sharing Christ with others. So I hope I answered your question satisfactorily. This brings up my question I want to propose for the week, and that is, how do we teach character? How should we teach character to others? Personally, I think that character is best taught in the home. However, I do recognize that there are many people out there who probably don't have the best home life for learning proper character and developing good conduct. So I'm thinking beyond that within the home structure. I'm thinking, how do we teach character to people who don't have that home and don't have that community that fosters that? That being said, I am greatly intrigued by the mentorship programs that I've run into over the course of my life. One being, for example, the mentorship program at Virginia Military Institute, where you just take the first year upperclassman and you make him a mentor over the person just entering VMI. And so the person just entering VMI, their life sucks, and they have to do stuff for their mentor, but their mentor's there to provide them advice and help them adapt to a really harsh situation. That philosophy kind of incorporates of building a community and bonding through adversity. The middle school I work at, the way they try to teach character is by focusing on different character traits and then just listing different examples. Honestly, it's not very hands-on at all, and I'm a little disappointed in that system. So in that sense, I don't see just a lecture style format as the best way to teach character. I think the best way as a community or as a group for people to help raise someone up to be a positive and productive member that has high quality character has to be experiential. You can't just lecture it. It has to be through bringing someone to a perspective that they haven't seen, and that's only going to happen if they see things happen from events and not just are told about it. So no matter how character is taught, I think experiential learning is necessary to build character in people outside the context of their homes. I don't have my thoughts fully fleshed out on this topic, but it's pretty interesting, and it's been one that's even hit national prominence. In George W. Bush's first inaugural address, he said he was going to invest millions in character education in our public education system. And while he did get the accountability measures through No Child Left Behind through before 9/11 happened, after 9/11, the focus kind of went away from education onto terrorism. So we never really got to see the aspects of character education that George Bush wanted to implement in this country. In sum, outside the family, I think the best way for someone to learn positive character traits is through mentorship and experiences. And the only way like an education system could do that is if they plugged kind of one-on-one mentors with mentees and then had them go do events out in public or go see various different things where you saw character building happen. But if you're going to do it on a mass scale, I wouldn't say Virginia Military Institute system is completely wrong. I think it is pretty effective for a lot of its members. It's at least very memorable. It shapes people's lives and it makes them think in a radically different way that they never thought prior to leaving high school. I just don't think that it is always the best option. So those are my thoughts on building character. I hope you guys have a good week, and I look forward to seeing your video in the near future, Robert.